Welcome to the Bytecode. I'm Hirsch Shafu, and today's episode is about formal verification.
Yes, so thanks for the invite. I'd like to present what we are doing. So at Formaland, we specialize in formal verification for the blockchain because when there is a critical bug in a blockchain system, you can get a lot of money that is stolen, and it's generally impossible to get the funds back. So it happens every month that millions are stolen. And for that reason, it's very important to do security audits of your code. And formal verification is one of the ways. The good thing about formal verification is that you can check all possible inputs of your code, so that you are sure that even in edge cases, in a weird combination of calls for your smart contracts, you will get covered for the properties that you are verifying. And probably the most known company for formal verification on smart contracts is Certora, that provides an automated theorem prover where you write your specifications, and after you can check whether they are correct or not. So obviously, it will not work all the time, so because automated prover they either return that your property is correct or wrong, or they do a timeout. On our side, on formal land, we focus on interactive proofs, especially with Coq proof system, and it allows to never be blocked because you can interact with the system that check the proofs, check the properties to unblock it. And with Coq of Solidity, we made a tool to translate Solidity smart contracts to the Coq proof system so that you can verify that your code is correct in Coq.
Nice, Guillermo. Could you maybe zoom in a little bit more and maybe from a high level perspective, what is even cock? I think probably a lot of people don't even know what cock is.
So Coq is a language, is a formal language. So it contains a programming language like we are used to have with Python or Rust or any language. And in addition, there is the possibility to write mathematical statements so that you can write even mathematical theorems, like for example on prime numbers or real numbers, all the usual math. And you can also write math about programs. So you can express property with a for all quantifier, for example, to say that for all possible call to my smart contract, for example, the sum of all the tokens in each account is equals to the same number of tokens that was allocated at the beginning. So this is a mathematical statement about a program, and if you verify it for any possible input, you show that your contract will have a constant number of tokens for any kind of calls. So in the Coq system, you really have these two languages, one to write programs and one to write properties and proofs. And yeah, we will see more details how it works. But in front of my screen, there is really Coq statements. And yeah, when you are in Coq, here we define an addition with integer overflow. So this is the safe addition of Solidity, where we take two integers that are instead, so they are unbounded, and we return an option integer. So it means that we do the calculation of a sum, and if this sum is lesser than the upper bound, that is to do the 256, we return the addition. Otherwise, we return the special case none. And one of property that we will see that we can check that the addition that is made in solid smart contract here with a simple function that returns the addition. We can check as an example that it indeed makes the safe addition that we write here for any possible input x and y. So yeah, so this is the example I wanted to show. And maybe
Okay, so yeah, this is a small example of how to formally verify an addition, basically, right? Okay.
yeah, I think I can quickly go over the example and to give an idea of how it works, and after go into the details about how Docker Solidity works. So
Sounds
here,
good.
so here when we make a statement, we start with the keyword lemma. We write the parameters. So here we say that we start from any environment. So this is the blockchain state and any smart contract state. And we take these three parameters that are the two inputs, x and y. I should have written a and b, and the sum. We assume that they are between the bounds of the integer u in to 56. We assume that we are in the success case where there was no overflow. And after we show that here is the translation of this function with coq of solidity that takes solidity code to coq. And we show that when we apply this function on the x and y, we reduce with the value sum. And we do not change the blockchain state. And to do this proof, we'll see on the right what is happening. So when we start, we have all the hypotheses above the line and what we want to prove. And what we start doing is to unfold the definition of our safe addition. After that, we reason by case whether this condition is true or not. Because here we suppose that the safe addition was successful, we are necessarily in the case where there was no overflow. So after that, we unfold the definition of the contract. So here is the translation that is made from the Yule code of Solidity by coq of Solidity. And we enter into this code. So there's a special command that I will detail. But the most important thing is that Solidity compiler makes an if statement at some point where it compares the addition and checks whether it's greater than one of the parameters. If we unfold everything, we explicitly see that we have this check in the compiled Solidity code. And by reasoning by cases again, we can discard the goals and show that we indeed return the sum when there's overflow. And once everything is green, the coq proof system ensures that we have verified this property for any possible value of x and y. And this would be impossible with testing, because if you take the number of combination, it would be too large to really test everything. So here it's a small example, but it can be applied to verify any smart contract. I think the most complex one that we have looked at is this contract for the smooth library. And what they are doing is that they implement in a unoptimized UL code operations on elliptic curves. And they do that in a non-trivial way with binary decomposition of points and loops to do all the additions. And with the system that I've shown, we started to show that all these operations are actually equivalent to the addition on the elliptic curve. So to be fair, we didn't finish the proof of this contract, but we verified maybe the first third. And the idea is that it's like what I just shown with a safe edition, but on a more complex contract. And yes, our next target will be to verify more standard contract with a lot of business rules. So it will be less mathematical operations, but more about verifying that if you are an admin, for example, you are the only one that is allowed to do a certain number of operations, or that when there are rounding approximations, they are always in favor of smart contract owners or things like that. So I don't know if you have a... Yes. So for business logic, we haven't started yet, but I can show you what we have done on ERC20. So this is kind of a canonical example. So we do the ERC20 contract here, but this is from the Solidity compiler library. And what we have done is that we implemented all those operations in the core proof system using the map types from the code system, so that we explicit all the operations in a more high-level language. So I can show you the result. Here is the contract that we implemented in Coq. For example, if we look at the mint operation, in the original Solidity code, the overflows are implicit. They might happen on all the additions. And here we make this operation explicit, where we check that the addition doesn't exceed the maximal value. In this case, we do the update. And we have proven that this all this code that we written is equivalent to the original one for any possible input. And then the next step will be to show the property, for example, that the total supply is always equals to the sum of all the balance of all the contracts for any possible calls with ERC20 contract. And yeah, we haven't made it for this example, but will be pretty standard using the standard code techniques to verify code. Yes. This is so something that I can show is how the Coq of Solidity system works. Yes. So when we compile Solidity code, we always use the SolC compiler, the reference compiler that defines the language, and we go through several steps. In particular, the SolC compiler translates the code to the Yule language and then to the EVM bytecode. And the Yule language is an interesting intermediate language because it was made to do code analysis and formal verification. That's what we are using here to translate Solidity code to Coq. And Yule is basically like EVM, but you have names instead of a stack. So you still have your local variables. And it's very convenient to express properties. So we show the simple contract that we had for the addition. Yes, this was the contract. And here is the version in Yule. So it's a little bit longer because at the beginning you have initialization to deploy the contract. You have many auxiliary functions, but at some point you can see where was the addition. I'm looking for it. There. This is the add operator from Solidity, where it uses the add operator from the EVM. It makes a check here to detect overflow and returns a panic if that's the case. And this is the code that we are verifying. So if we look at the translation in Coq, the Coq of Solidity directly takes this Yule code and reprint it in the Coq language. Translation is there. By running the Coq of Solidity command, you get this translation. And here is the code equivalent to the code on the left. You can see that up to the syntax, we have something that is very similar to the code. And the interesting thing that we do here is that we redefine all the EVM primitives so that you can have a way to interpret things on the Coq side. It's called building a semantics of the language. So here the add operator from the EVM, we redefine it on the Coq side, and the same for the if operator of the Yule language, as well as function calls here. So where is it defined? It's defined there. Yeah. There we have the list of the definition. There is about 100 opcode in the EVM. We define them all here with most of the arithmetic operations that are just the computation modulo 2 to the 256. And after you have some operations that are a little bit more involved, especially for example, the stop operation, where you have to propagate a stop and interrupt all other calculation, or all the operations that modify the memory, like mload and store. And to represent them on the Coq side, we use what is called a monad to represent the side effects. All the m dot something are called to the monad. And what is a monad in functional programming is it's the idea to augment your environment with some special side effects. So initially, you start with code that is purely functional, and it can only take some input and return a deterministic output based on this input only. And after, with a monad, you can add the idea of having a memory, for example. So that's how we represent the state of the blockchain. Or also, you can have special control flow operations. So typically, when you do a revert in a smart contract, it's a control flow operation where you don't continue to the next instruction, but you stop everything and return the revert parameters. So we define this monad just under. We have the eval primitive that evaluates some of the special calls. And the special calls are the one that modify the state of a chain. So we represent something where we have for each account its local storage. And with the sload or store operation, we can modify this storage. It's a state where we update the accounts. When we do a store operation, the new accounts are the previous accounts, where at the current address, we change the value of the store at a specific slot. So yeah, we also simulate on the cog side all the state of the chain, and this is the only way to have a semantics that is like the one of the EVM. And it's not an issue on the cog side to have this wall state, because we reason about symbolic values, and generally we do not need to explicit the wall state that is a few hundred of gigabytes. Yes, so it stays lightweight on the cog side. And we also have primitives to call smart contracts. So define just under with the call contract primitive. And with semantics, what we do is that we take all the tests of the Solidity compiler and we translate this test in Coq, and we verify that the output of this test are the same as what we get with our semantics. And we now have 90% of the tests that are passing fine. The last layer in Coq of Solidity. So with what we've seen above, we've seen how to execute some contracts. It's convenient to have rules to execute them step by step. This is the rules that we define here, and that says that for example, if we look at the call for the call of a function, it says that to execute a certain call to a certain output, you need to be able to execute the function to an intermediate result, and if from this intermediate result you get a final output, but when executing this function with a current continuation, okay, get the output. So these are called semantic rules. When you reason about a code, you apply this rule to step through your code, like in a debugger, and you step through all the lines to verify your properties. This is what we have done with the example of the addition. Here, when we want to show that all this translation is simply equivalent to the x plus y, we start with a let, and we have a special keyword lu for let unfold that allows to basically remove this let and replace it by substitution. After, here we have another let. We can do a more step-by-step iteration. There we have another let is here, and we can ask to enter into this let. It will create two separate goals. One is to evaluate this content here, and once we have said what the result of mcall to the cleanup t function, we can talk about the rest of the code. What we are doing here, we zoom on the first call. Here we have a call, so we step through the code, through the call. There we are calling this function. We can unfold its content. So also a lot of let, but actually it doesn't do much. This function basically takes some x and returns the x. It's generated by the Solidity compiler. In the Solidity compiler, we translate the code from the Solidity compiler before optimization. And due to that reason, there are a lot of code that is doing not much. In this case, it's just taking an x and returning this x, and it will be optimized away when the Solidity compiler goes to the VM code. But here we have it. So we can go into the let. Go again to the let. We can simplify the view. There we are lucky, so just returning the result x, and we have a special command p for pure when we return the final result, and it's done for the call. And here it replaced the value of the expression with all the call with the final result that was just x. We can do p to go in this execution, and after we have done the first let, we can compare what we have done with all that. Here we have a first call to clean up x, followed by a second call to clean up y. And once we have done all this operation on the let, we only have a lineup why. So that's how we step through the code. And then in Coq you can automate a few operations that we do with the repeat to repeatedly call these commands. It's that way it's more automated. Yeah, you can do the proof this way. So yes, yes. So the current state is that we have done an audit of the beginning of this example code about scalar addition and scalar multiplication for points on the elliptic curve. And now we are looking for more examples to apply it to other smart contracts. And could be applied to any kind of contracts, but preferably those with a lot of value, because it's this process is still time consuming to the proof, but it's also very rewarding because at the end you can really say that you have verified your contract for any possible case. And once you have your proofs, when you do changes in the code of your smart contracts, you can just rerun the translation on the proof, and you will see whether some properties are breaking or not. So it's an advantage compared to manual audits, for example, where it takes more time, but after you can rerun your proof as the code evolves. And I think we need to work to optimize even more the way we write proofs, so that it will be a simple function like that, a single keyword that handle all the details. So there's work to do on automation. When we look at the Unicode code, there are a lot of functions that are very simple, like this one or this one. And we have a library that already handles all these small functions, so that we can focus on the actual function with business logic. And yes, we are also thinking about doing development on the high-level side to know how to specify smart contracts in a way where we can define what does it mean to have a contract that is safe. So for that, we need to define what it means to steal someone. And one of our plan is to create high-level primitives to define what is an entity, what is a token, what does it mean to own something, and then with this high-level primitives, we can rewrite smart contracts like ERC20 or any smart contract like Uniswap or others, using these high-level primitives that do not exist on the Solidity side. And after with Coq Solidity, we can prove that this high-level definition is equivalent to the code. And eventually we can express that there are no possible misbehavior with someone claiming the owning of a token without the right permissions. So yes, basically there's two directions, but you can already use Coq Solidity if you are knowledgeable in the Coq Pro system. It's open source, and we provide documentation for it, and we can you can even make a call to have more information. Thanks, and happy to make this presentation.